It's fascinating, and I think the other sort of fascinating aspect to this, too, is the fight against universities over the issue of foreign students. And, of course, obviously these universities get huge amounts of money from them, but particularly when it comes to students from China, where there are claims of industrial espionage and, political interference and stealing American state secrets and things like that. This, I think, has a very big impact because it also ties into the tariff fight with China. Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, that's right. I mean, one of the things that Secretary of State Marco Rubio is doing is reviewing student visas, and he's canceling student visas of people who engage in pro-Hamas protests and the like. But there are multiple scandals here. There have been many, billions of dollars given to American universities by foreign countries, mostly China and Middle Eastern countries, that have not been reported by the universities as required by law. There are frankly, some pretty unholy relationships between these major elite universities and foreign governments. And one fundamental point here is that a university like Harvard gets billions of dollars in American taxpayer money, but they don't think that they are an American institution. They don't care. The last thing they care about is American taxpayers. They think they are a global institution, and they train their students to be citizens of the world. And I think Donald Trump properly questions whether there's any reason why American taxpayers should be subsidizing these operations to the tune of many billions of dollars.
Well, it's a big problem here, too, John. But before I let you go, I want to bring up a hilarious item you had on your Powerline blog exposing how ridiculous the New York Times is at the moment. You included a screenshot from the New York Times, which clearly shows their bias against Trump, with all of these hysterical stories all about, how terrible Republicans are and all the horrible things that they're doing. Tell us about this and this other great institution, or once great institution, the New York Times, and how far off the rail it's gone with its Trump derangement syndrome.
James, the New York Times has really abandoned any pretense of being a real newspaper. It is now just a mouthpiece for the Democratic Party, and virtually every news story that it runs, national and international, that's what I showed there in that screenshot. It's so typical. Virtually every news story is an attack on Donald Trump. I mean, it's almost comical, and I don't think there's anybody, even on the left, who is still really paying attention to the New York Times. And I would add just one more thing, James, and that is that Jeff Bezos, who now owns the Washington Post, is trying to pull the Post back from the precipice and make it into a more legitimate newspaper, a more legitimate and a fairer source of news and information, so they don't continue going down that path of the New York Times.
Well, John, I had a look at the Washington Post homepage before we came on here, and I think Jeff Bezos still has a little bit of work to do on that, but we will stay ever presently tuned. John Hinderaker, thanks so much, and check out his stuff on the Powerline blog.